We're good? Okay. All right, guys, we're going to get started. Listen up. Remember, if you have your computer open, please close. The exceptions right now are Tina, Jen, and Cody. Same thing with your phones. Please pay attention during this meeting. So we have a lot on the agenda today, and for the sake of our guests, we're going to move straight to the Judicial Board appointments. So Anthony, would you like to say a couple words before we begin?
I'm Anthony. I'm the current Judicial Board Chair. I also chaired the selection committee this year, which was composed of myself, a representative from each of the classes, the 4 undergraduate classes and the graduate council, and then also a representative of the Dean of Students Office and a non-Dean of Students Office faculty. So for the process of selecting these members for appointment, they were each interviewed, and then the selection committee reviewed the interviews and decided to recommend them for appointing by the Senate. So that was the process for that.
So we're going to go through these one at a time. Each person will have the chance to speak on their behalf before we open the floor for questions and then a vote. Make sense? All right, so first, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approved the Judicial Board Selection Committee's appointment of Anthony Barbieri to the position of Judicial Board Chairman, effective January 1st, 2015. So I can't tell who moved and seconded this. Who moved for Anthony?
It might have been me.
Who seconded?
I'm very well.
Okay, also moved by Steve and seconded by James.
Hi again. So as I said, I'm Anthony Barbieri. I'm a current senior. I'm going to stick around until the end of next fall as a co-term student. I've been on the Judicial Board since freshman year and became chairman at the end of my sophomore year. Throughout that process, I've had the opportunity to sit on cases, and I feel like I'm ready for another year of it. I enjoy the position. I'm pretty active in student government, as some of the senators I'm sure can attest. So I'd like to serve as chair for the next year. Also, just out of curiosity, if people are wondering, because when I was chairing the selection committee, I did not have a vote myself, so any recommendations by that selection committee was by that committee, not myself voting myself in.
So, I mean, it sounds like you've been Judicial Board Chair for a long time. I mean, I know you're this year, so that's great. And you seem to be doing a great job. But I'm just curious, if you are eventually leaving, like, is there someone who is here that would be able to take up the position when you're gone? I guess that's only my concern, just because you've been the chair for a long time. So if you leave without having someone mentor or anything, I don't know if that would be an issue, especially since you're the one with the experience.
Yeah, so there's a few members of the board who've had a year of experience as well, so they've gotten the understanding of things. So I definitely think there's, even within them and possibly some of even the new members would definitely be able to step up by the time I'm leaving in the following year. So a year is definitely a lot of time to grow. So.
Steven?
I didn't have
The queue is open.
Any other questions? Okay.
Do you plan to run for Grand Marshal?
No.
The queue is open.
All right, seeing no more questions, we'll move to vote. Once again, the 45th Student Senate approves the J Board Selection Committee's appointment of Anthony Barbieri to the position of Judicial Board Chairman, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Steve and seconded by James. All those in favor? I got 19. What'd you get? 19. Okay, all opposed? Put your hand down, Paul. All right, I think that's everybody, so motion passes 19-0. Okay, so next, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Orlando Hernandez to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Justin and seconded by Joe.
Just a little bit about myself for those who don't know me. Like you just said, I'm Orlando Hernandez. I've been on the Judicial Board since my freshman year, or rather since it starts in January, obviously. Currently, I'm the vice chairman of the judicial board. I'm also chairman of the student motor vehicle court, so I deal with the excitement that is parking ticket appeals. It's super fun. I'm also going to be in the co-terminal program, staying one more year under Lally, technology commercialization and entrepreneurship. So I like student government. I want to go to law school, so judicial boards. It's kind of how you start to get involved. That's really it. If anyone has any particular questions, I won't talk your ear off.
Queue is open.
You plan to run for Grand Marshal?
I plan to run for president of the union, grand marshal, and chair, just all the positions. I'm just gonna stack the hats on top of it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to create a crown.
Paul?
Can I touch the pipes now?
No. I'll still write you up, Paul.
Please keep questions relevant, guys.
On a side note, it's so exciting to see many of my residents or former residents here.
And queue still open.
All right, anyone else? Okay, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Orlando Hernandez to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Justin and seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Warms my heart, thank you.
All right, all opposed? Okay, motion passes 19-0-1.
Kevin, another meeting I have to get to, but thank you for
Okay, next up, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Chris, I might butcher this, Notarnicola?
That was perfect.
Notarnicola to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st,
That was impressive. Not many people get
2015.
that first.
Judging by the illegible signatures, I'm assuming this is so moved by Steve and seconded by James once more. Take it
So
away.
yeah, hi guys, I'm Chris Notarnicola. I'm a junior. I've been on J board for a year now. I'm just a regular member. I'm not chairman of anything. But I just really enjoy being on the J board. It's great working with Anthony and all the other ones, and I think it's a really good thing to be involved in on campus. So that's why I'm doing it.
The queue is now open.
Do you plan to run for Grand Marshal?
If everyone wants me to, I will.
I think that's an early declaration of candidacy. Mel, please take note.
No, I don't plan to run for Grand Marshal.
What cases have you sat on before? How many cases have you sat on?
I've sat on 2 cases so far. The Postergate one and the one that was earlier in this year.
Queue is now open.
Okay. Rereading the motion, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Chris Notarnicola to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Steve and seconded by James. All those in favor? Okay, all opposed? Motion passes 19-0-1. Oh, jeez. I'm hoping this is still Steve and James. Okay, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Zach Ministerto to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved, I think, by Steve, and seconded, I think, by James. Please remember to write your names below the signatures, guys.
You said Zach what? Who'd you say, Kyle?
This was Zach.
Yeah. So Zach couldn't make it tonight, but he is an ITWS sophomore, and he's also served on the board the same duration as Chris. He joined at the same time. So with that, he's also served on 2 cases. And he's also involved in a few other clubs on campus.
Queue is open. No.
Any questions? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move right to vote. I just read the motion, so unless anyone needs me to reread it again, all those in favor?
Jenna, is your hand up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all opposed? Motion passes 19-01. Next, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approved the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Spencer Pilcher to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Joe, seconded by Lisa.
So similar to Zach, you can make it tonight. He did provide a bio though. Spencer joined at the same time as Chris and Zach. He's a fourth year nuclear engineering student. He's also a member of Phi Gamma Delta and the Rensselaers. And as I mentioned, he's sat on 2 cases since he joined last year.
The queue is now open.
All right, seeing no questions, we'll move to vote. All those in favor? Okay, all opposed? Motion passes 18-10. 18-1-1-1, yeah, thank you. All right, so the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the Judicial Board Selection Committee's appointment of Nathan James to the J-Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Paul Elori and seconded by Lisa.
I'm Nate. I was an alternate member that got approved at the end of the spring semester, so I've only sat on 1 case. I'm chairman of the Union Constitution Committee. I'm a junior who's going to be working on his PhD starting this summer here at RPI. Any questions?
Queue is now open.
Clarification, would this be to make you a regular member or remain alternate?
This would be to make
This is
me a
regular.
full member. Regular member.
Justin.
Since you're going to be both on the J board and on the Constitution committee, if on a very unlikely event that anything related to the Constitution committee makes it to the J board, would you excuse yourself?
I would.
Okay.
Queue is open.
Okay. To reread the motion, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the Judicial Board Selection Committee's appointment of Nathan James to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Paul and seconded by Lisa. All those in favor? Okay. All opposed? Motion passes 19-01. All right, we're getting through these, I promise. The Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Tim Krentz to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Tina and seconded by Case.
Okay, I guess it's probably a lot of you might not be familiar with me. I'm a grad student in my 4th year here, working on my PhD in the materials department. I have never been on the J-Board. I served on the independent council before we disbanded it, and have served for 2 years now as the rep, or the graduate rep, to the Faculty Senate Curriculum Committee. And I guess I heard that there oftentimes had not been a PhD student who had not been an undergrad at RPI, and I figured I should help out and represent my peers. So there you go.
Queue is now open.
So you say you're a 4th year PhD student. You plan to be here for
I'll
a
be
full
here
year?
at least through next winter, yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
Queue is open.
Any further comments? All right. The Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Tim Krentz to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Tina and seconded by Case. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 19-01. The Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Emily Phillips as an alternate member to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Steve and seconded by James. Go for it.
Hi, my name is Emmy Phillips. I'm a sophomore chemical engineering major from Seattle, Washington. I unfortunately have not been part of student government before, but I'm very excited to be part of it. I think the Judicial Board has the ability to make the campus a very fantastic place, and I want to be part of helping make this area better.
The queue is now open.
What kind of other activities are you involved in? Any model UN or similar activities?
I'm an active member of the RPA Players, as well as active in several of the religious groups on campus. Unfortunately, I'm not part of Model UN or anything such as that.
Queue is open.
Anyone else? All right. Seeing none, we move to a vote. The Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Emily Phillips as an alternate member of the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Steve and seconded by James. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 18-02. The Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Trishala Chandri as an alternate member of the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Steve and seconded by James. James, you actually wrote your name on this one. Okay. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Trishala. I'm currently an aerospace engineering major, but I'm thinking about switching to maybe computer engineering with a minor in business. I am a freshman, so I don't have the experience that a lot of other people have, but I'm really excited to learn about how J-Board works and everything that's a part of it.
Queue is now open.
Okay, seeing no questions. Do you have something? No, seeing no. Oh, okay, go for it.
No.
No, Mason.
Oh, okay. So in high school, did you do anything that would be in a similar vein of student government or something like that?
I used to chair Model UN. I feel that's kind of similar, yeah.
Queue is open.
Anybody else? Seeing none, we move to vote. Once again, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the Judicial Board Selection Committee's appointment of Trishala Chandri as an alternate member to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Steve and seconded by James. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 19-01. The Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Sumit Munshi as an alternate member of the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Tina and seconded by Lexi.
Okay, my name is Sumit Munshi. That was pretty close. I'm currently a sophomore computer science major at RPI, and I would have participated in J-Board if I had come in the fall, but I joined in the spring of 2014 semester. But I have some experience from back home. I served on the youth court of my town, where we dealt with first-time youthful offenders, and we basically gave them a second chance, had a clean criminal record by assigning them community service hours depending on what the impact of society was. So I feel like I want to participate in something like that on campus other than fraternity-related things.
The queue is now open.
Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we move to vote. All those in favor? Okay, all opposed? Motion passes 19-0-1. All right, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Ian Il-Shin as an alternate member to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Paul and seconded by Mel.
Hi, my name is Ian Il-Shin. I'm currently a junior at RPI studying industrial management engineering. In the past, I've been involved with things such as Model United Nations, mock trial in which I represented a lawyer in fictional cases, and mock trial and teen court, which was similar to what was mentioned by the previous member. It's in case which I represented the jury in actual legal cases regarding juveniles cases, and I'm very much interested in doing something similar at RPI.
Queue is now open.
Any comments? All right, seeing none, we move to vote. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 19-0-1. And finally, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Harrison Lineweber as an alternate member to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Justin and seconded by Lisa.
So Harrison couldn't make it tonight, but he did send in a bio. So he said he's a class of 2018 computer science major, and he went to Ottawa Hills High School, where he was part of theater, Molly Wen, and Quiz Bowl. And at RPI, he's also involved in RPI Ambulance and RPI Sec, and other branches of student government. So he was looking forward to get more involved in student government via Judicial Board.
Queue is now open.
Okay.
Has he confided in you any plans to become GM?
No, he does not.
Queue is open.
All right, once again, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the J-Board Selection Committee's appointment of Harrison Lineweber as an alternate member to the Judicial Board, effective January 1st, 2015. So moved by Justin and seconded by Lisa. All those in favor? Okay, all opposed? Motion passes 18-0-2. Thank you all for coming. You're welcome to stick around for our presentations, but you are also welcome to leave at this point. Congratulations on your appointments. I'm going to use this pause as an excuse to eat a Milky Way because I haven't had one yet.
I'm dead serious.
Okay.
No, I've heard of it.
Ask Justin. Justin's done it.
Yeah, no, it's not responsible.
Okay, so
This Barbie. You left all the stuff here, so I'm assuming the bathroom.
just go into the desk.
I've never written out his name. I never noticed that.
All the time. Spencer.
So it's like a
Where did Joe just go? Guys, please get settled down. We're going to continue on with the meeting in just a moment. Do we still have quorum? Everyone's in and out?
Can you try?
8, 10.
Sometimes it takes like
So we actually don't have quorum because someone left.
I came back. I just came back. I literally just went back.
Joe and Jess went to the bathroom.
Oh no, we're good. We have 17. Everyone, please listen up, Marcus. All right, Jen, you can get started when ready. Oh, it is a little purple.
There we go.
It's just the core. I'm just gonna purple, come on.
So this isn't working, but
Hi, Jen.
hi guys. Yeah, that's fine. But I'll use the laser pointer if that's okay.
That's enough, guys.
Yeah. Okay. So, as you all know, we recently got the results of the student survey in. So I just wanted to let you know just a brief background on the Senate survey. It was developed by the members of the Senate and the committee members as well. The questions were compiled, the poll was made using Google Forms, and then we advertised it with social media, posters, word of mouth, really every way we could get it out, including class emails. And about 800 students responded, so it's a little more than I think a tenth of RPI. Okay, so this is just a brief breakdown of the demographics. 57% of the people who responded were male, 42% female, 1% other. The breakdown by schools showed that the majority were engineering, followed by school of science students with a small portion of architecture, business, and HAS. The classes were pretty evenly split, with the graduate students being the smallest, also class of 2019. So, and 64% weren't Greek, 36% were Greek. So the first section corresponded to food quality. One of the big issues was whether or not food met students' dietary needs. You can see that 35% of students in this category here were unsatisfied with the dietary needs of the food here at RPI, while 20% thought the food adequately suited their needs. The food quality satisfaction, again, 38% of students were dissatisfied with the quality of food, and only 20% were satisfied. We also polled on the new options that were opened recently. This included Mega Burger, Husatos, the Sushi Station, and also the unlimited meal plan, because that was new this semester. So there was general satisfaction with the 3 new eateries on campus downstairs, but the unlimited meal plan actually had a higher rate of dissatisfaction. 41% of the students who are on that meal plan aren't satisfied with it, with only 24% being satisfied. So that was one of the big issues we saw with the survey. We also polled the satisfaction overall with the meal plan options, and 47% of students were satisfied. So that's almost half, and the other half were unsatisfied. And then we also looked at flex dollars, and 39% were satisfied with the places to use their flex dollars. So that's pretty good, but we still have 28% who are unsatisfied with that. All right. Next, we looked at dining hall attendance. So the first, or the 2 most common dining halls are Commons and Sage. A lot of students visit these daily and weekly. When compared with Blitman and Bar H, you can see that there's over 100 students that visit both Commons and Sage daily, while Bar H and Blitman have maybe 10 or 20 students who visit it daily. So these are definitely our 2 most visited dining halls. This also showed in the comments section of the survey. A lot of students had issues at both dining halls, finding silverware, finding plates and trays to carry their food. They often commented that they were very crowded at meal times, service was slow, and there was a lot of disappointing comments, I guess, on those 2. There weren't very many comments for Blitman or Bar H, besides on food quality, which we'll talk about later. Okay. When we polled campus eateries, we found that 71% of students would go to Father's, well, 50% went to Sage, 55% went to the Library Cafe, and a very small 8% of students had visited the Lally Galley. A lot of students didn't even know it existed, which was in the comments with lots of question marks. So maybe, that eatery could benefit from some additional advertising to students. All right,
So obviously we had to pull in Arizona because it's a very, very important thing for students at RPI. So we asked, given the same price point, what is your iced tea preference? And 59% of students said Arizona was their iced tea preference. And on top of that, students are willing to pay $1 to $2 on average for iced tea, not Arizona. So we definitely got a lot of data regarding this, so that will be great for any proposals anybody needs to write to get Arizona back on fathers. So, all right. So now I'm just going to go through a few highlights about the comments section for food services. There were many, many pages of comments, so I kind of highlighted the main topics here. One of the biggest issues was the price versus the quality. A lot of students are saying that, you know, they can eat out for less than the price that they pay for the meal plan. It's way cheaper to eat if you live off campus, and that the quality of the food here isn't very good for what they do pay. So they asked us in the comments section to try to make improvements to the quality of the food, because students do pay quite a lot for that meal plan, and they, you know, should get some higher quality food if they want it. Another big issue was that allergens were not labeled properly, if they were labeled at all. So one student was lactose intolerant, can't eat cheese. They don't always label if there's cheese or not. Gluten-free was a huge issue for the people it affected. They had a very hard time finding gluten-free options, especially if they wanted to go to places besides the dining commons. So that was a large issue for students. Another issue were sanitation concerns. We had these comments both on eateries like the library cafe, where students witness unsanitary actions by the workers there, as well as in the dining halls. And also a lot of people said there was insufficient variety with the food. You know, it was too high carb, too high fat, and that their diet wasn't always accommodated. So a lot of vegetarians and vegans had some problems there because there weren't, good enough meal options besides the salad bar every day, for something like that. So the second section of our poll looked into academics and how satisfied students were with academic affairs at RPI. We asked about departments and their honor society programs to see if students were participating in those programs. And most students were, but 1 to 3 times a semester or 1 to 3 times a month. And also this is less than once a semester. So the majority of students participating, they didn't do it, weekly. And a lot of students, almost 30%, didn't participate at all. So overall, though, the students were very satisfied with their faculty interaction, 73%. So even though they can't go to programs all the time, they still get the interaction with faculty that they desire. Okay. We also looked at the drop deadline, and we wanted to know if students had enough time to figure out their standing in a class before the drop deadline had passed. Sorry, these percents are a little tricky to see here, but 25% of students were not able to make a decision before the drop deadline. Some of the classes, they actually didn't get an exam or really even start lectures till almost at the deadline, so that was one of the issues. It was a computer science class, I think, Intro to C Programming. So it's only a quarter of the students, but it's still a quarter of students that we can reach out to with working on the drop deadline. And we also asked students if they used ALAC or knew about ALAC, which is the tutoring center, and 46% of students have used ALAC, with 54% of students who have not. So, okay. As far as research goes, a lot of students have participated in research. So 72% have participated. The compensation for the research varied. This includes people who get credit and money or money and experience. So it's kind of split in 3 ways, almost evenly. So students get credit, money, and experience equally with their research. And 61% of students had difficulty finding research opportunities. So a lot of our academic affairs projects, I think they can really help students find research opportunities. A lot of students commented that it was difficult for them to find them themselves and would like the departments and the faculty to reach out to them more. Okay. So overall, what do students want from their departments? They really wanted mentoring programs, not just with faculty, but also with upperclassmen. So they get more advice on what courses to take and how to direct their career path. They also want, like as I said, just help finding research, whether it's outreach from the departments, the individual professors themselves, or overarching seminars on how to join a research lab. And another thing students wanted were some social events where they got to meet with faculty, but also meet other students in their majors. That was a big point for a lot of students, was they didn't know enough people in their major, and they didn't really get to interact with faculty in a social setting. It was more in an academic setting. We did a lot of work with this poll to get a lot of feedback on residence life. The hall-specific feedback and input is going to be processed soon, and that will go into the SLC Res Life proposal. But a lot of the trends here included AC and heating problems, entertainment issues, internet. Everyone wanted gigabit internet, I think. And there were issues with paper products in the bathrooms. So. We did get some good data on Fix, which is the service you would call or contact for them to come and fix certain things in your dorm or building. Most of the complaints were resolved with their first contact with Fix, so they only had to talk to them once, and that was that. 35% people had to contact multiple times, and then 13% the issue was just never fixed. Some of these comments here kind of address some of the issues. Dryers don't work properly, students lost their lighting, but they're not allowed to fix it. They have to wait for Fix to come. And then some daily issues with other appliances like refrigerators that got ignored. So after going through the food options and the issues with the res hall, we looked at off-campus living. 66% of students are interested in moving off-campus after sophomore year. A lot of the reasons why students want to move off-campus includes privacy, includes living with friends or significant others, but the major issue was finances. This was a priority for 70% of the students who were interested in moving, and also just filled up the comments section completely. A lot of students can't afford to live on campus when there's such a cheaper option available. This includes the meal plan as well as rent and utilities. So we looked at pharmacy as well, if students wanted an on-campus pharmacy option. There was 78% support for the pharmacy on campus, and almost half the students use prescribed medication while they're on campus. An interesting fact was that some students thought this pharmacy would cost us a decent amount of money and we'd have to pay a lot into it to get it going, which doesn't have to be the case. There are some low-cost ways to get the pharmacy up and running. So despite that, that thinking we have to pay for it out of our fees, there was still an overwhelming approval to get pharmacy on campus. 20% of students have used the counseling center. Out of these 20%, a third have had issues scheduling appointments. They don't think they can schedule enough appointments, and sometimes it gets really crowded, so there are many comments on this that we can look through. And we also looked into transportation for the health center. This would be to appointments, like blood work or getting imaging done, routine things like that. And almost 70% of students said they would definitely like to use the transportation offered by the health center if we had it. We also looked into pet-friendly housing. 9% of students in Troy have pets, and half of them were interested, half of the students polled were interested in pet-friendly housing. So maybe we can bump that 9% up if we start working on our pet-friendly housing proposal. Right. Another big project that facilities working on is crosswalks. So we also polled the crosswalk use. Crosswalks used most, obviously, are the 15th Quad one right outside the Union, Sage and North around the corner, Burdett and the Approach. These two have heavy usage, and that's where we usually get the most complaints about poor lighting, drivers not stopping. They're not official crosswalks, so they can't be enforced as well. So we definitely have some numbers for foot traffic there now that we can use. We pulled the van transport service, so this would pick up students and bring them to places around Troy and the surrounding cities. Most students polled said they'd use it 1 to 3 times a month, which is great, if you want to go on the weekends. And several students said they'd use it weekly. That's 20%, so it would be a pretty popular service for those students. So overall, we got really good feedback for the van transportation. We also polled for community relations. This is one of our newer committees that's starting up. We like to see how many students were visiting downtown Troy or the surrounding area, and a lot of students were visiting. The majority were visiting 1 to 3 times a month, with 30% once a week, which is some really good data, especially since we're trying to promote relations with downtown. And a lot of students would also like to get more involved with volunteering in Troy. So 64% want to volunteer, and they also commented that they would like a list of volunteer opportunities, kind of an easier way to get involved, to see who's who's in need of volunteers. So there were a lot of students really interested in a service like that. Right. We also polled on communications to see if students were satisfied with how well we were communicating with the student body. The most info they received was through Facebook, email, or posters, but they would really like to see more Reddit and Twitter posts, so we can definitely be more active on those two electronic sites. Overall, the students are satisfied. 36% are satisfied, 21% unsatisfied. So SGC can definitely do better with communicating with the student body. So. Right, that covers all the survey results. These were some of the more interesting comments. So first, does the Lally Galley exist when we polled about the eateries? This was not the only person who asked that question. With regards to meal plans, that exclusivity contract though, people really need Arizona, including the Arnold Palmers back in Fathers, with all those exclamation points. There's apparently a minority who really wants a Dunkin' Donuts on campus. So we're their only hope, guys. So, really think about that. The mashed potatoes, I hear they're spectacular. I don't know. This was part of a post that was almost half a page long, talking about all the food, including the waffles, how they'd eat waffles every day. Every meal, every day, if they could eat the waffles, because of how amazing they were.
The Senate got the strawberry mash that you put on the waffles.
Yeah.
Remember, we'll open a queue after.
Yeah.
Keep going.
In regards to what can your department do for you, they would like them to lavish him like a king. So other research, one student while looking for research, said the only way they could find a research position was to email professors until somebody loved them. For Res Hall updates, life-size communal toothpaste, and in regards to cleanliness, that's how you get ants, Woodhouse. That's how you get ants. And for crosswalks, I guess it's not a crosswalk problem, but a New York driver problem. So just just keep that in mind when you're driving.
Okay.
And that covers it, so.
Now, we will, of course, be opening a queue. So raise your hand if you'd like to speak. I'm sure people have a lot of questions.
Okay, so just a quick question, comment. You said that the majority of students have participated in research, but I think that might have been backwards when you said it. Based upon what the pie chart looked like. Minorities.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I got that backwards. Yeah,
Yeah.
so a lot of students have not participated in research. Sorry.
Morning. Sorry. So, about the laundry services at RPI, they're actually not done through RPI. It's done through an outside company called ASI Laundry Solutions, and that's why
The
Fix
probably didn't
doesn't
get
fix
fixed.
it. It's
Yeah.
because they have to bring in outside people.
Josh?
Just curiosity, when you were talking about on-campus eateries excluding the dining halls, there was no data on Jasmine's. Was that not in on the survey, or did that just not make it onto this?
It was, I must have missed it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was there, sorry. My bad.
The Arizona, the T question, there was a lot for other. Is other Arnold Palmer based on the comments, or is it something else?
All the comments was get it back, whatever it was. If it was Arnold Palmer's, I'm pretty sure used
It's
to
an
be an
Arizona
Arizona
product.
product.
It is.
They
It
are. It
still
is an
is.
Arizona product, but we don't have it because all the Arizona products got like wiped, not just the iced tea. So yeah. So all the comments said were like Arizona and Caps, or bring back Arizona, or bring back Arnold Palmer's. No one really said anything about the other juices and stuff. It was just those two specific ones. So I think they're the most popular beverages. But there was no like write-in, I guess, for other. So
Mason?
Oh, I didn't mean to put myself on the queue. Sorry.
Kristen?
I walked in a little bit late. I was at the e-board task force meeting. Was this for all students or just undergrads?
The survey?
Yeah. It
was sent out to undergrad.
Wait, these results.
For all students.
So if you participated in research,
Yeah.
obviously click yes. I didn't know if you were trying to get that figure for undergrads or also include graduate students.
Yeah, that it was difficult to separate the data based on that because we have to go
I'm just
through.
saying that 28% may be high.
Remember to limit the back and forth, guys, but we can differentiate the data between the two.
Justin?
Where is the Lolly Galley?
It's in Lally.
No.
The Lally building?
No.
Yeah.
It's
not in Lally?
Just point of info, it's in Pittsburgh.
I never heard of it before.
Yeah, you can go all the way
Guys,
to
let's keep to the queue.
Pennsylvania.
Keep to the queue.
Marcus?
This is kind of a question for you, kind of a question for anybody who has information on it. So, after what Morgan said about the dryers being serviced outside of Fix, is a similar thing with the fridges leaking every morning? Because that's a game of chance I'm really getting annoyed with playing every morning.
I don't know where the refrigerators were. That was another thing.
I'm going to guess that they were in wraps. That's what
Yeah.
they usually provide.
That's what I'm guessing too, but I'm not sure who this was.
Every morning.
Morgan? Okay, so about the refrigerators, the ones in the residence halls themselves that are like standard, the big ones, they are owned by RPI, but some of the smaller ones that can be rented out is by an outside company. Kyle?
Two questions. First, can you go back to the research slide really quick? We asked, I'll ask while you're going. We asked about student interest in research as well, and I know we got statistics for that. Do you know the results off the top of your head?
I can't remember if the interest included the students who participated or not.
It did.
Okay.
Well, no, the
Yeah,
interest was for those who didn't.
Yeah, 79% of
interested.
students were interested in research or participated in research. It's a combination of those stats. So.
And the second question is, do you know when these results will be released to the public, when the document will be prepared?
Okay, so if we're looking for a complete document, there's other, I guess, stats we gotta pull, especially for the res life stuff. So that would take probably at least another day or two minimum to get that all compiled. Because there's all the res life stuff needs to be compiled, and there are comments that students got to write in a number, but we couldn't do analytics on it using Google, so we have to do that by hand, or using Excel. So that's gonna take a while too, because there are quite a lot of comments regarding that.
The queue is open.
What format do you see the final document be taking the form of? Is it going to be just charts? Is it going to be charts and comments?
Charts and comments. It'll be a complete summary of the results we get, and probably PDF would be best. We can post it in several places too, so students don't need a hard copy. Just view it electronically.
The queue is open.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Jen, for all the work. Oh, wait, did we get one?
Sorry. How long did it take you to compile all of this? Because that sounds like a lot of work.
Well, so Google gives us, you can go to the form and you can get analytics, right? So you just click, and it gives you pie charts, lots of pie charts and bar charts. Most of those I redid though because they didn't do them quite right. But the useful thing is that it gives you the numbers. So it gives me the numbers of students who said yes or the number of students who said no. But other than that, we go through that. We went through all the comments, so it took a while. But like I said, there were some comment sections where we asked students to give, a number for something, and how many of their flex dollars they used, and that would have to be reviewed and compiled by us. And like I said, 800 students responded. So I didn't completely go through the whole thing yet, but I'm hoping to in the coming week. So.
Mel?
Did someone actually get chosen to win the gift card or whatever? Did anyone, or was that a lie?
We're working on that. No, it's happening. We're working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Molly?
Out of curiosity, do you know if there would be a better platform to do this survey on in the future? Because it seems like Google Drive is sufficient for the most part, but you do have to do things by hand.
I think the issue is more that the services we've used in the past have been difficult to make the survey in and or cost money, I think, was the discussion we had.
Okay.
I wasn't involved in the very early planning stages because I came in partway through the semester. So.
The queue is open.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you again, Jen. All right, we have one more presentation today, and that is going to be Gabe, Senate CIO, presenting on an RPI petition service.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. I had got one for campus.
Do you think it would be more?
I thought it was 75, really, in favor.
Yeah.
I thought there'd be more people in favor because they wouldn't think, because they would want their own pet.
Why more against?
Well, because people have been complaining, America has been smelling up first floor, stuff like that. You don't want to deal with pets, and you don't want to deal with the repercussions of having pets.
They're not thinking.
Well, I have
it is logistical nightmare. Just be specific housing for specific people.
You have to take time off if you want to train a boy.
I tried to sleep. I think it's all
So, I mean, it depends, like, on the pet. If it's just, like, a hamster, not a... Dogs are a bad plan. Yeah.
I mean, like, the animal apartments where healthy space, like, and then you're responsible. So, you know, to be more closer to that than you used to be. I mean, so I think it's definitely possible if it's like sectioned off in specific ways.
We'll be starting up in 30 seconds.
Didn't we just install this technology? Didn't we just install this technology? It's having a lot of problems.
That's very true.
No, that cord doesn't work.
What?
The cord
I'm
doesn't work.
also grateful because it's awesome.
You have to like jiggle it at a right angle.
Watch Molly.
Oh, wait, actually, no, you don't have to.
No, like, at the beginning of there, he'd go like, Molly, he'd go like this. And he wasn't doing that on purpose.
Oh, now it's like way out of focus.
It's because like petition for RPI development.
I think it's just the colors. I think it's just the two colors.
What's that last line?
Maybe.
But I won't let it get to my
Red and
head.
blue are really
I don't know what you're
You're right.
Entertain a motion to replace the projector.
Yeah.
I think we need to. Oh, no, someone has to move it.
I think this is wonderful, and you should cut that out and hang it up.
You need to replace the cable, not the
Next week.
projector.
Gage, you're all set. Listen up, guys. Yeah, I'm just gonna log in quickly.
I know his password.
Hi everyone. So this is a project that Web Technologies Group has been working on in collaboration with RIT over the past few weeks, and Kyle, our GM. So to start off, one of our alums actually realized that this was a project going on at RIT. They developed it for their student government to create petitions and have their voices heard. So we thought it would be a good idea to bring it here and kind of customize it for our own use. So we started doing that, did a few stylistic changes. As you can see here, you have the main screen when you log in, and you have all the petitions that are currently in progress. If you scroll down, you can see them all here. So let's not get carried away here. So yeah, you can see like some of that were marked different colors. So the ones that are gray are ones that have had updates posted to them, and the ones that are red are ones that have had like results like updated from an actual person assigned to the project. So what we're going to be doing to modify this is, based on the union constitution, you need a 20% of like a certain body, whether it's freshmen through seniors or independent council, Greek life, or the student body as a whole, to make it heard in front of our Senate. Then we'll vote on it, and if that vote passes, people will be assigned to actually investigate and continue carrying on the project. So if you click on one of these petitions,
Impeach Kyle Correa.
any one of them, yeah.
That works. All right.
So, yeah, as you can see, you can share it on social media so you can drum up support for it if it's something you really care about. And you can sign it on the bottom right once you log in. Obviously, like only you can only sign it once. And it has your initials once you sign it and the description. We're going to probably be changing the amount of signatures you need, but that's done easily through the admin panel and everything. And if we're able to be provided with enough data, we can break these down. It will be actually essential, based on how the union constitution works, to break the total signatures down into separate categories, like I mentioned earlier, so we can see if we get 20% of a certain group. But yeah, it's a pretty basic site, and at the top you can filter by certain petitions that are in progress. That means people are updating them, and then other ones that have actually received official responses. So yeah, if you go back to the home page quickly and scroll down all the way, we have credits to everyone, and you can see the petition process. You can read about it, and of course moderation, which is key to this, because we don't want people to just be posting like vulgar content as petitions. We want actually constructive things. There's also API access, which is pretty neat. So it'll allow other people to pull our data into their applications and give support to petitions. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had. I don't know if anyone has any questions about it. Let's start.
Queue is open.
Paul.
Is RIT Rochester? What's RIT?
Yeah, Rochester Institute of Technology. Their student government has a few developers who are working on this. So.
Sure.
Yes, since it's all open source, you're free to see the code and modify it any ways you like.
Shosh.
2 questions. One, I'm assuming this is just a demo, so when does the actual site go live? And then 2, who can make a petition? Do you have to be an RPI student, or would an alum use this?
Yeah, we're going to be tying it in with CAS authentication, so you would have to have an RCS ID and password. As for the release date, that's still under discussion.
Jen. For moderation, how are you getting moderators? Is it going to start with the Senate?
That's something that we can discuss, and you can just add a user as a moderator. So, I mean, at the moment, as long like we can give it to anyone that the Senate might see wants to be a moderator. So, I mean, if communications wants to participate in that, that's always useful. So,
Tina. So I have 2 questions. So on moderation, would that mean that before, when someone creates one, that it would get checked before it appears?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And then my other question was on the constituency part. Would that be defined by the person who creates it, saying what constituency they're going for, or we just have something in there that searches every possible constituency to see if they have it?
As the breakdown of people who signed it?
Yeah, so is it going to be say it's a motion that pertains to freshmen? So when that person creates it, would they choose constituency freshmen, and then you watch how many freshmen sign it, or is it something that we would just be oh?
It seems like something that would be broken down in general, for each petition. So you'd have the same set as far as for each one, and you can see from there. But we will need to get access to that data, so that's something that we need to investigate as well.
Josh.
No.
James.
Have you thought of creating rules for moderation? Because some things might be deemed able to moderate, but other things impeach Kyle, however offended he may be, it actually could be.
I was talking with Kyle about this. He says things like that might be seen as personal attacks. I mean, we have to kind of let it, but if there's tons of swears in it, then you know what I mean. Obviously, you have to moderate that out. If you click on moderation, there's a few steps that will probably be changing before launch that we still need to discuss, but there's places for all of these things, which is nice. But yeah.
Steven?
I have 2 questions. One, how do you plan to kind of get the student body to know about this? Any posters, Facebook, everything? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have social media outreach, and I'm sure communications can help us out with that.
The second question was, do you plan on expanding this in the future, or just modifications that you spoke about today?
I mean, the idea was to bring it underneath the student government website. That way it would be one place where everything is, and we'll see how that goes in the future. Yeah, for now, we're just going with changing up how this works.
Mel?
Is there gonna be a lifetime of the petitions? Can they die? Because it's not will they stay there for 2 years? Or is there gonna be a span of a time limit of how many signatures you need within so many months or semesters?
Yeah, I mean at the moment we can talk about that, but they should still stay up there indefinitely until they're deleted. So yeah, something that was posted 2 years ago, if it receives enough community support, could potentially be brought back. I don't know if that's a concern, but yep.
Kyle.
To answer a couple people's questions really quick, the Union Constitution says that when the Senate receives a petition signed by 20% or more of any constituency, then it must consider it for an immediate vote. So, and it also says a valid petition. So valid is up to interpretation, and we can define that via motion once this site is created. We have to accept petitions. There will be a motion before us to accept this site as a source for valid petitions and to use the rules of this site to define validity. Along with that, with regards to any constituency, yes, any petition that is signed by 20% or more of any voting constituency is how that's being interpreted. I've spoken loosely with the chair of the judicial board in approaching this. And finally, with regards to personal attacks, to answer James, if someone did a petition that just said impeach Kyle, that is totally fine. That's a legal petition for them to make. But if they said like impeach Kyle, his mother was a hamster, and I don't even know, then that would be different. That would be a personal attack.
Mel?
So going back to what talking about before, so if someone is like, so if like a senior signed a petition and then graduated, so they're not like a member of the union anymore, just like will their vote still count? Like does their signature still count if there's no like limit to this?
I mean, at the moment there's
petition?
no mechanism to get rid of those. I mean, we could start, if we get an updated like filter by class year, that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Because those votes are still going to be in the database. So if it records their class year, we could get rid of those if it's past like a certain amount of time. You know what I mean? If that's a problem. So.
Jenna?
Two things. One,
Yep.
how would you deal with the people that don't graduate, like within 4 years, like if they graduate 3 or do co-term, or like how would you deal with that?
I mean, there's year by cohort that we usually get, but I mean, that's a gray area that the Senate might need to discuss.
And then second, how do you plan to stop the probable impeach Shirleys that we're going to get? Because that's technically a valid petition according to what Kyle was saying, but that's probably not going to go over too well.
Yeah. I mean, that's something we can discuss again when we go over moderation policies. That's a very good point.
Keep going.
Mel?
So let's say that one of the petitions gets enough, like votes, like signatures. Then what?
Like we said before, it will get brought up for a vote in front of the Senate to see if someone wants to continue investigating it. And if it passes, then obviously someone will pursue it.
Sure. But what? Sorry.
Continue with Shosh for now.
2 suggestions. One, can you add more filters so that if someone wants to look at, say, food-related petitions versus residence hall petitions, they can sort and like by class year, like things that are more relevant to them? Can you add those filters?
Yeah, I was talking with Kyle about that just this past week. So that's something that we might see developed over winter break once it's released like next semester at some point.
Okay.
See what happens.
And then the second thing, can you make it for the person who makes the petition, can you make it optional if their name is associated with it? Or does it have to have their name attached to it?
At the moment, no. We could add that in. I don't know if that's something that you guys would like, so.
Because like an organization might want to create
Yeah,
a petition
yeah.
versus a personal person who wants to make a petition.
Okay.
Lexi?
Just a brief comment. I know we talked about this a little bit. I personally think that you shouldn't allow any kind of petition that has specific names on it. Like if it said impeach the Grand Marshal, I guess that might be better. But even if it was like impeach this person, you can still, I feel like that person can be very attacked just for no reason. So I just think eliminating no names, no personal names would be a better way to go. That's my opinion, but I think you guys should highly talk about that when you're discussing the moderation policy.
Yeah, that would be a great talk that I would like to hear what the entire Senate has to say on moderation because that's a pretty sensitive area. So.
Tina?
2 things. Someone said, how are you going to deal with the impeach Shirley motions or petitions? And one of the things is that even if someone comes up with that now, technically, it's then brought before us to vote on it. So in that case, it's our ultimate decision. We can always vote these down, is the other thing to consider. And then the other thing is it's been mentioned a couple times when we went to launch this. And that's the conversation that Gabe and I are having right now. And we're more than willing to hear your thoughts and input on that. Some of the conversation has been, do we launch at the same time that we launch the new student government website, or is it a separate launch beforehand? Because the development of this is probably going to be finished slightly sooner than the website. But that being said, there still are a lot of questions on this, so they may go hand in hand. But if you have thoughts or comments on that, we're more than willing to hear them.
Josh.
Going on back to the moderation, I think it's important that any moderation policies that are decided are made clear and public, so that if someone submits a petition and all of a sudden they don't see it, even if potentially there's a sort of sendback, your petition was denied on the grounds of, and specifically quoting a moderation policy, so that there's not sort of that going back of students saying, hey, I tried to make this petition and it didn't show up.
Yeah, and that's a good point because petitions can't be edited once they're submitted. So since someone's name will be attached to that at the moment, I mean that, you know what I mean, could be a problem. So.
Justin.
So first, a point of information directed at Jenna in response to what you're saying as to whether or not someone specifically is still no longer a student or not. Once someone graduates, their RCS ID goes out of service. So maybe, I'm sure there's some kind of function in the API, or if not, an easy check to see if the RCS ID is still valid. With respect to the whole thing about names, I totally get where you're coming from with respect to like not having anything related to like someone in particular, like impeached imps or person name here, because I'm a very sensitive person, so I can see where that's coming from. But on the to play devil's advocate, if someone is very unhappy, if a constituency is very unhappy with a senator or a elected official, if they can't write a petition directed at a person, how would they go about doing that? I don't know if there's another method that would need to be taken.
Marcus?
A lot of the questions I had have been asked already by Mel, but I just wanted to ask about if a petition were to go through. I'm sure this discussion will come up a lot more with the proposal for this, but is there going to be like an enforced timeline for when the proposal has to be addressed? I mean, I'm just unfamiliar with that process, unfortunately.
I have nothing to say at the moment. I don't know if Kyle has any comments on that.
Yes, as with what we discussed before for what makes a petition valid under the Constitution, these are rules that we can set. There's nothing in the Constitution about a timeline now, however it says a valid petition signed by 20%, and thus we can define valid.
Jen?
I have a question and a comment. Regarding petitions staying up, how do you plan to deal with duplicate petitions?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, at the moment, there's really no way to, you know what I mean, tell what it could be a duplicate, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I guess my comment kind of revolves around maybe they should have a shelf life, because if someone wants to impeach the president, there's probably one every day who wants to impeach the president, but I mean we shouldn't have a shelf life every day, but it's a new student body every year, so maybe that would help out.
Okay. Yeah, something to consider.
Kyle.
So since we've talked about shelf life a few times, but with regards to duplicates, as with the original We the People site and with RIT's site, students are highly encouraged to first look for a petition that might already exist for their issue, so they can sign that petition and show more consolidated support. Multiple petitions that don't reach the threshold won't accomplish anything, but if one petition does, then we will vote on it, consider it, and so on. Regarding the idea of being able to post a petition anonymously, I've been in regular communication with Ashley Carrington, RIT's student body president, and this is actually a topic that they're grappling with as well. So it's definitely something that's kind of on the radar. And finally, with regards to whoever mentioned the impeach Dr. Jackson thing, that would be very distinctly one of the things we do not allow. Anything that involves Institute HR for the hiring or firing of personnel is beyond our scope as a Senate, and thus petitions wouldn't be valid.
Mel?
Okay, so I have two things. So one is about the shelf life. I just don't, if there's no time limit, what happens when it just becomes irrelevant? If impeach Kyle, what happens when he's not the Grand Marshal anymore?
I mean, at the moment, it'll just be there. I mean, we could set a job that goes through and deletes old ones based on a certain
Okay.
name. I mean, that's something that is a really good comment, so we'll definitely think about it.
And then the other thing was Tina. So R&E right now is making referendum sign policy. So
it would be nice if this could go up after we pass that, which should be soon. Paul?
Two things. One is in relation to the whole having people's names on it. It's kind of the people who are kind of being addressed in petitions in terms of being impeached or removed or whatever. Our names have to be up there for two reasons. One is people can remove their class senators, and unless our name's on it, if somebody's mad at Joe, Mason, Mel, or I don't know how they'll prove that unless they say, I don't know, the one with glasses, the one who wears suits all the time, the black one, and the girl. And, you know, come on. Second of all was, in terms of, I know there's some threshold at which if there's a certain number of signatures from a constituency, a person's automatically removed from office or something. So will there be like something to allow, like, after something's like reaches the threshold where the Senate has to address it, will there be something that allows it to continue to gather votes to that?
Yeah, it should still gather, definitely. It's not going to stop counting.
Okay. And like, make it clear so people know they can still do that. It's being addressed. Okay.
Shosh.
Just in response to Tina's point, and I don't know how about the rest of the Senate feels, I think that this should go live as soon as possible. There's nothing preventing a student from 2 minutes from now creating a petition and sending it to us. This is just simply a tool that will help students. I think it should ultimately be integrated with the website, but I don't think it should be held up because this is for the students. This isn't for us. So I don't think we should hold it for any reason.
Tina.
Sorry. There was a point brought up about duplicate petitions. I think that's one of the things that could be addressed when it goes through moderation. Because if there's a moderation team, they'll obviously be very familiar with what's on there. So if they get one that's similar, rather than sending an email to the person saying this doesn't fit with our moderation policy, they can send an email and say, please check the site, there's already a petition addressing the same comment.
Here's a link to it. Right, here's a link.
James?
Would it be possible to revoke your vote on a petition? Like if you didn't, like you just pressed, I want to petition this, and then you realized you actually did?
At the moment, no. I mean, once you go in, you just click sign, and it drops your initials right into there. I mean, is that something that would be required?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
Jen?
So with regards to, as Kyle said, encouraging students when they go in to look for posts that they want to make that have been made previously, is there a system in place, or if there's not, how are you planning to implement that, I guess?
Can you say that one more time?
So Kyle said that if students go in and they want to make a petition,
yeah.
And that petition's already available, students will be encouraged to look up other petitions to see if the one they want makes available already.
Yeah.
So is there a system for that in place, or is that something?
There is. I mean, we want to implement some more like tagging, like Shoshana was saying before, about like sorting by Greek life, dining halls, that kind of thing. There's also a search at the top that goes on title and content. So if you open that up, you can start typing to see if there's similar keywords in other petitions.
Kristen?
My question was, if you write a petition and you want to edit it, if you make edits to it, does everyone have to re-sign, so to say?
I mean, at the moment, no. Like, you will just, the person editing it will be the person that put it up or an admin. So
what if you change the contents of it completely and then when somebody signed it doesn't agree anymore?
Yeah, that's another gray area, I guess, that we should probably, we can either lock it down completely, which is kind of a problem, because then if you have a ton of signatures and you want to change something small, you have to delete it again and start over. So it's kind of a tough situation to be in.
Josh?
Just a concern on shelf life. Someone puts up a petition, impeach the Grand Marshal, and 2 years later it finally reaches its signature goal, and Kyle's no longer the sitting Grand Marshal. It's Joe, for example. So now you've got Joe, who's, I just made names.
Keep it going, guys.
Joe's already. Now you've got whoever the sitting Grand Marshal is 2 years from now, who's been asked to be impeached from a petition that's 2 years old. So maybe if a petition has the shelf life of the current sitting Senate that they're voting with, otherwise you could run into issues with titles as opposed to names.
Yeah, I mean, another thing you can consider is the date it was posted. and go off of that, but I guess you can't necessarily do that in all cases, so.
Mason.
Okay, so the first thing was just in terms of being anonymous on voting and stuff. I think that it should be allowed like anonymous to peers, but people are like the moderators and such are aware of who did what, so that way there's still some accountability. But it would encourage more people to participate if they don't. I guess because they're not showing their name publicly to everyone with this idea. Just the people who are in charge. And when you go to post something, it should probably have. I don't know how hard it would be for you guys to implement with the search features that you have right now, but I know like when you go to post something on Reddit, it tells you, oh, these posts are similar to yours. Are you sure you really want to post that? Because it might already been posted to like search the tags or something to show them similar, so that way they do a finality, or like they make them more sure of that posting. And then with the timeline shelf life thing, with that, I think that's definitely something that should happen. I agree with the Senate idea. I was going to say that, but it was already talked about. And then there was one other thing. And in terms of editing the post, I know Facebook has a system where you can't edit a large group, at least the name. You can edit the description and such, but like you can't edit certain specific details after it reaches a certain threshold of users, because once it gets past that point, those keywords are associated with the users, and if you change it, then it might change in a disagreeable way to the users. So it should be something that's heavily limited, so that way people don't get forced into things that they didn't think they were signed up for.
Yeah. I guess going back to your anonymity thing, we're gonna get a lot of like, you know what I mean, just garbage posts if people's name aren't like put on them. So I guess that's something else we have to weigh against with the anonymous posts. Yeah.
Kyle.
Couple clarification points. RIT's site, from which again ours is forked as theirs was open source, does not allow any edits to a petition once it's submitted, and has a 1-month shelf life for all petitions. I actually think 1 month is a pretty good threshold, but this is open to further discussion. Anyone running for GM or PU has to get 600 signatures in under that time, and that crosses the 20% barrier for most constituencies. Regarding the process that is intended for this, just a couple clarifications. The idea is, again, when a petition gets to us, what we're voting on is not the issue itself. What we're voting on is whether we want to investigate it. There may be some exceptions, like if someone says impeach Kyle and the petition gets to us, then we would either immediately vote for my impeachment or vote to hold a referendum election or something similar. But by and large, if someone did say there is asbestos in Quad, we want that removed, we obviously can't vote to remove asbestos in Quad. That's not in our power. But what we can vote to do is to sponsor that or support that. We need to come up with a good word for it. And what that would mean is it gets deferred to a committee or to a specific senator who will act as like the point person and continue to investigate the issue. So that's just a little clarification.
Jacob?
Oh, cool. All right, so when I see just a service like this, my first impulse is to just do something incredibly stupid with it. So I guess We the People has like a built-in, like once a petition crosses like an automated threshold, they have to like automatically respond to it, and like two, like what are you gonna do to stop people from, making the Senate, try to build a Death Star like they did in the U.S. government? Because you can use that as a good opportunity to do like funny things by responding to that. Do you even want those kinds of things to occur? Or do you want to do like 100%? Yeah.
We have a 100% anti-Alderaan policy.
Could you elect the mascot?
Can we just get a Death Star, guys?
Absolutely.
Death Star.
That's pretty awesome. Would be a Rubik's Cube.
Focus up, guys. Gabe, did you follow the end of that question?
Let's say I want to make Helix the mascot of RPI students. Could I do that?
I mean, I guess that ties back into the moderation process and deciding if something wants to be anonymous or not, because obviously there's going to be a lot more jokes if it's anonymous. People won't have their name posted right beneath it, so.
Jenna?
RPK percentage.
When you're writing the petitions, I think Mason might have been saying this. Is there a way that the title that you have, it'll say these are similar petitions, so that students don't have to sign 30 petitions? Because I could see that happening and there being enough different people to get the same movement passed. but then different petitions, so it wouldn't come up as something that we need to approve.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, there's nothing but using the search engine. I mean, it's possible that we can do something and say, like, did you mean, like, put, like, a bunch of other ones that are similar, you know what I mean, before they post it.
And then if you wanted to make an edit, let's say you're reading it over again and you realize that you made a typo or, like, forgot and somewhere. Could the person send stuff to send the correction to the moderator saying, I just made a minor typo before this gets approved, can I fix that?
Yeah,
and so could you be like the liaison to approve or disapprove changes? So it's locked to the user but not to the admin.
Exactly, yeah, like an admin will have full reign over everything, so they could go in, if there's like something that they agree should be changed, like grammatical error, typographical error, you can go in and change that, so, yeah.
Shush. So this came from RIT. What kind of problems are they experiencing, and how are you addressing those?
I mean, Kyle's the one that's interfacing with them, so he'd probably know a lot more about the problems that they're experiencing, but I'm guessing it's something similar to something here, like people want to have their voices heard, and they have complaints about things on campus that they might want student government to realize. So I guess that's probably why we're going to use it for outreach purposes. But I don't know if Kyle has any other additional comments on that.
I have a lot of feedback from them written down in the drive that I can share, but off the top of my head, problems they have faced. They had to come up with a very robust adoption plan, which they did, and I would like to do similar by reaching out to organizations and groups on their campus and figuring out what causes they already had to kind of kickstart the service, so those groups could create petitions. They would share those petitions on Facebook and so on, and promote them toward their friends. Those people would then see the service and be like, oh, cool, I have something I'd like to put on there as well, and it would kind of spiral. That was one. Another was, for a little while, I believe they had a lot of kind of like inappropriate petitions, which of course would be resolved via moderation. And finally, theirs works a little differently. Instead of having like a Senate sponsor, they simply issue an official response and leave it at that, the way We the People does. And it was difficult for them to get student buy-in to that, and what made that a success was they spoke with their administration in the months leading up to its release. They spoke with RIT administration, and a number of administrators agreed that they would personally be willing to respond to petitions that reached the threshold. As a result for that, I brought this up in my recent meeting with Claude Rounds, and he said provided it is properly moderated and properly censored, he's very interested in hearing petitions that are relevant to his department. I plan to have similar conversations with other higher level admin as I continue to work with them. So I hope that gives you a bit of a picture.
Tina.
All right. There's 5 things on my list. They're short though. All right. So to start with lifetime, that's been like thrown around a little bit. I think it'd be a nice idea if there was a choice of an end date. So if something was relevant to, I don't know, like the lights on the football field right now, like having, like when someone creates it, having them select an end date, or there'd be like maximum, and then whatever we set it to be, like 1 month, 1 semester, everything. But if it's shorter than that, if it's just like a 2-week thing, so they could set it and then it would disappear on its own after that. For moderation and like editing them, I don't think people should be able to edit them, but maybe like there's a way that the person who created it can like email the moderator and say, hey, I found this spelling error, or I'm missing a comma here, can you change this for me? And then it's up to the moderator to say, kind of like we do friendly amending motions. And then people talked a little bit about submitting things on behalf of a club, and I still think that there should be a name associated with it. So maybe there'd be an option that says like Kyle Craga on behalf of, or like the Student Senate on behalf of Kyle, like so somewhere there's like a name, but there could be a body associated with it as well. And then another resource that might be nice would be like where you have the petition process, having like a petition template, or like something that's like helps people who have never written a petition, maybe like guidelines for writing one, just to give them a little bit so that they know what would form a good looking petition.
Yeah. Okay, so it's like quite a few suggestions. I mean, they're all like pretty much tied back to what we were talking to before with like, you know, shelf life, tying people's names and things. And yeah, I mean, we can talk about that more, I guess, and see what kind of features we can put out in times for its release.
Yeah, Tina wrote down these suggestions, so they will be on the drive for review.
Okay.
Mel.
Yeah, ask my questions.
Okay. Jen.
With regards to groups making posts, I know that the union, I don't think it's heavily moderated, but when you book a room, you have to add, if your group's not on there, you have to add your group to your list, and then they need to add you as someone who can make an appointment via that. So maybe you can have officers as the only ones for that group who can make posts on behalf of that group. I guess, you know, kind of implement a system like that. So that way you can still have groups making posts, you know, as people suggested.
Okay.
Justin?
With respect, actually, I don't remember what I was going to say because I started writing minutes and I forgot. So, sorry.
Oh, Mel.
Okay. So if with the whole name thing, if someone, like, I'm just kind of like looking at this through an R&E perspective. If someone like puts their name down, like an individual, and so say if they like break a referendum rule, it can be like tracked down to that one person. But if it's like a club, you can't like punish a club.
Yes, we can.
Well, I mean.
We can.
I mean, that goes with what Tina's saying, where you can have like someone on behalf of, or, you know what I mean? Like, and you can like fill out whatever you like.
Okay.
Which could be optional. So, but yeah.
I just.
Justin.
Oh, again me. All right. Sorry. If with the respect to moderation, right? How is it going to work with respect to if someone, if there are 10 moderators, and one moderator moderates it out and says, okay, we're not posting this. What if that person has a personal vested interest in that petition? Say, for example, person A is a moderator and is involved in one of the clubs that are being referenced in this, so maybe, or maybe is a moderator and then the petition comes in, impeach themselves. They may not be, there may be a conflict of interest there, and they may vote it, they may moderate it out. Is there a way that any of the other moderators can come back in and say, no, that's actually acceptable, you can bring that out? Or vice versa, if one moderator deems it appropriate and it's actually not appropriate, is it just one moderator can have the ultimate say as to whether or not it's actually posted, or does it have to be 2 moderators or multiple moderators, or is there a way that once it's been moderated, can it be added, can it be reinstated or deleted accordingly?
What could be done is we could have moderation flags. So if someone goes in, says it's not like good content, it can be flagged and not show up on the homepage, but an admin might still be able to see it, so you can go back in later and change this flag, you know what I mean, to true, and it'll show up on the front page. So that's something that can be, you know what I mean, figured out once we discuss the moderation process.
Okay, we have 5 people left on the queue. At the end of this, I would like to entertain a motion to close discussion. If we feel that discussion needs to continue, then I mean you can vote down that motion. But currently,
motion to close the queue now.
What? You can't.
If it ends, you don't.
Well,
have
that's
to
a
make
good point.
motion to ask.
I mean, I'm just saying after the next 5, I'd like someone to consider
Motion to close the queue now, and then so that no one else can be added to the queue.
You're not on queue right now.
No, I was saying the motion to close the queue.
Are you on queue right now?
No.
Not yet. Okay, so you got to be on queue to make that.
Okay.
Okay, James is next.
Motion to close debate.
So called. Well, it's not really called a
Second.
question. Okay, that's gonna be then all those in favor of calling the question or closing discussion since there's no real motion on the table. That's a lot. 16. All opposed? Okay, oh yeah, we have a quorum. Motion passes 16 something. Discussion is closed. We'll be accepting further comments after the meeting, but this was a really good discussion. I think we're off to a good start.
Oh, we had quorum.
Okay, so moving on. quorum. There were 2 or 3 people who didn't vote. So, moving on then, we have 2 final motions, and they're very simple. These are both approval of minutes. So first, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the minutes for November 10th as attached. Queue's open.
Okay, were these printed out and or sent around?
They've been distributed to the Senate. We don't have printed copies because printing's very limited right now. Jen?
I was voting prematurely.
Okay, any other comments on November 10th? Tina?
Just a comment for everyone in general. The minutes typically come from Cody, so like if you don't see them or you're looking for them, you should be able to search your inbox for stuff from her, and you should find them.
Anybody else? Keep empty. All right, seeing none, we move to vote. The Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the minutes for November 10th as attached. So moved by Tina and seconded by Case. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 14-03. And our final motion, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the minutes for November 3rd as attached. So moved by Joe and seconded by Lisa. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we move to vote. All those in favor? Okay. All opposed? Motion passes 14-03. Robert J. wasn't in the vote. Okay. Then with that, we're going to move on to committee reports, starting with, please try to keep these short as we've had a long meeting. R&E,
Like 5
Mel?
seconds short.
Okay, so we changed our meeting time to Tuesdays at 7 p.m. For electronic voting. Paul's going to talk to someone to figure out, Martha, to figure out the card swipe, like we're buying the card swiping, and then we're in the process of writing a proposal to buy the card swipes. Referendum will most likely be done, the rules, will most likely be done by early December. And we are accepting submissions for our motivational videos of the weeks. So if you have any motivational videos that you would like to send to R&E, you can email me at rne@union.rpi.edu.
All right. Thank you, Mel.
You're welcome.
Marcus, AAC.
Academic Affairs meets 7 to 8 p.m. on Thursdays. Right now, the Research Archive is making good progress. We're hoping to have a proposal out by the end of the semester. The directory is also making good progress. We found out, again, that a pilot is running of the program that we were going to suggest. So we're looking into that, getting more information on what's going on. And again, AAC meets 7 to 8 Thursday evenings.
All right, thank you,
In
Marcus.
3510.
Thank you, Marcus. Have you thought about changing that to the SGS? Right, I have to take care of that if the other things can get moved. All right, Jen, SGC.
SGC had a very successful tabling event last week. We had 15 students who left comments and or signed up for committees. I emailed that out. I hope you guys got it. Yeah. We're also going to start posting for Mueller Center and Academic Affairs Archive, and what was the other one? More with ASAC as well. Other than that, we compiled the survey, and we meet Tuesdays 8 to 9 in SGS.
Okay. With regards to the interested students in the different committees, chairs, when you get these emails, I recommend reaching out to them individually. It's just a more personal way to contact them and spark their interest. Joe, you're filling in for Michael.
Yes, I am. FSC. So, speaking of Mueller Center, Cody has finished the survey. That's basically all I'm done. It's going to be sent out very soon, distributed in the Mueller Center specifically. The Green Revolving Fund, yeah, try it one more time. The Green Revolving Fund, which we discussed last meeting, now meets Wednesdays at 8 p.m. in the Union Games Room. Feel free to stop by if you'd like. Email Dan Z if you're interested. Crosswalks is on its way, working on it. Arizona Fathers, working on it. We meet 5. Yes, be there. HSAC. So, our main plan proposal is underway. There should be a draft finished or almost finished for tomorrow's meeting at 6 p.m. in the SGS. So we can hopefully finish it and present it on the 24th. If not, we'll delay a week. Any questions? Eat well.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Lexi's not here for SLC. Casey, got it?
Yeah. So the Res Halls project is preparing a proposal to be presented at the Senate meeting next week. And the Health Center is preparing their pharmacy proposal for the last Senate meeting of the semester.
Okay. Thank you. Paul, policy.
So we're working on universal access now. We had a bunch of people show up who are interested, have a bunch of ideas. We're gonna start benchmarking for the stuff this week. So yay, benchmarking. I took my helmet to last meeting.
Any questions for Paul? All right, thank you. Gabe, WebTech.
Yeah, so this week we were working on some of more like the e-board oriented stuff on the Senate website. Justin and I went to the focus group there, which was led by Tina, and we heard what was going to be going on with that. Otherwise, I've been working on the petition stuff, so that's all I really have to report.
Okay, and again, if you're interested in helping out with the petition project, Gabe, what time is WebTech's meeting?
Yep, WebTech's meetings are 8 o'clock on Tuesdays in the SGS.
All right, thank you. Tina, website.
So as Gabe said, our last focus group was on eBoard, and that was really good, so we did something similar to what we did with Senate. I've also been meeting with Holly and talking about some different things, and we've decided to change the scope of the website a little bit at this point. So we're now doing just Senate eBoard and JBoard for this term, with the idea that class councils will launch starting in the fall, once there's like a freshman class, or like after elections a little bit further down the road, because their structure is slightly different. So to nail down these three first, then move on to the other ones. That being said, the focus group schedule is changing, and you'll all get a new one to reflect that change.
Point of information, who looks at the Senate at union.rpi.edu email address? Like, who has control over that?
That'd be me and I think the other cabinet officers as well.
I wasn't sure if it was WebTech. It sent me, I sent 2 emails last week that got returned to me today. It said the quota, something about a quota. It's made it seem like the inbox was full.
We did get emails from you, and that's actually an email list, not an inbox, so you don't need to worry
That's
about
why
something
I
like
got
that.
confused about why I got that.
There might be people on the list who are over quota. We can talk about this one after the meeting.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Morgan then, CRC.
Okay.
I can read it if you want.
So pretty much we've been working on community service project, and we're working on it. Yeah. We meet on Thursdays at 8.
In the SGS. Okay, thank you, Morgan. Sorry about that. Nate.
Constitution committees meet Thursday at 7 p.m. in 3606. I'd really like to see a few more of you guys there. We're finishing up on J-Board and E-Board changes, independent council. Starting early next semester, we'll probably start having amendments to bring forth to the Senate. If you have anyone who's interested in joining the committee, let me know.
What is the current plan for publicity and bringing attention to these changes before we vote?
Once we're a little further, because a lot of them are intertwined, we'll be bringing them up on Reddit, in addition to if the student government website gets put up, and probably actually emailing them out and then talking to the poly, because they're interested in it. So those are general strategies.
I would just like to recommend public forums as well.
Yep.
For direct discussion. All right. Any questions for Nate? Do you have at least two reps from the Senate?
No.
Do you have anyone from the
Gacy,
Senate?
don't look at me.
Keegan
Okay.
comes to most of the meetings.
I'll be looking for a second rep to Constitution then. So if anyone's interested, please talk to me after.
Actually, one other thing. I just appreciate if you talk to your class councils and stuff. We don't have a graduate student on it. We don't have anyone who's a current senior on it. I think that's, yeah.
All right. Any questions? Thank you. Shoshana, eBoard.
Last week, the executive board approved 500 color copies for S&W, and they approved funding for Humans vs. Zombies.
They saw a demo for CMS2, which is the new iteration of the club management system. Budgeting will go through CMS1 and CMS2 will launch late next year, approximately. It's still under development. And then there were thank you motions to Joyce and Aline McLogan. Next meeting on Thursday will feature discussion on the budgeting guidelines going into budgets. Club budgets are due to CMS on the 30th. So if you're in any clubs, bug your officers to post those and get that discussion going.
Thank you, Shosh. Kristen, grad council.
The grad council met last week. We nailed down what we'd like to see for wine and cheese night, and we're all getting tips trained on Friday.
All right, thank you. James, I have
Talk about the class council task force, because you were there today. E-board? Yeah. So right now, progress is that the E-board task force has decided that if there's any regulation or like checking system, it would be E-board that would overlook possibly all of the class council as well as the graduate council budgets and approve them. We don't have any guidelines to say yet what they would have to approve or disapprove. So that's probably the next meeting is talking about what guidelines should be set separately for the undergrad councils and the graduate council. I don't know. Personally, it seems like if we're gonna have to have our council budgets voted on, that process will have to get approved by the Senate because it will be written in. I don't know where it would be written in.
Changes will have to go through your respective councils and then be voted on by the Senate. But if the recommendation for the change is to have them be regulated by the E-board, then the budgets themselves would just go through the E-board provided the change is made. Does that make sense?
But like, what if I don't want that process to take place? Who votes on that?
Any change in process will go through us ultimately.
Right. Yeah. So I just feel like right now we might be putting in a lot of effort for nothing because I don't know if it's going to get approved. Like, it just doesn't seem feasible.
That's democracy. That's the system.
It was a long meeting.
Any other questions or comments on the task force? Okay, then we're going to move on. James, IFC.
The E-board is getting elected this week.
That's it. Cool. Morgan, Penhel.
Same here, but it's tonight.
Oh, fun.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, that concludes these reports. To wrap this up, we have my report. I was going to have a conversation about ideas for a Senate social, but since this has already been a long enough meeting, instead, if anyone has any ideas, please just send them to me. I've been talking with Jen a little about this, and we'd like to do just one fun thing before the end of the year, especially since we reached our survey goal of 750 people. So email me your social ideas or email them right to Jen, and we'll talk about it and work on it. Preparation for next semester, there's a few things that'll be going out to you guys. First, a when is good for a new meeting time based on your class schedules. We can even stick with this meeting time. We just want to make sure that everyone can make it. Second, there will be a Senate leadership feedback survey. This will be for myself and for all of the committee chairs. So give us your feedback. Tell us what you think we've been doing well, what you think we could improve on. This is going to go out around Thanksgiving break time, so that we can look at the data in our final cabinet meet. Well, not even in cabinet. We can look at it across the final week, one-on-one. And for committee chairs, I'll get to you in just a sec. For committee chairs, we're going to be doing end of semester reviews similar to what was done last year. So just start to get in the mindset of kind of looking at how your committee's done. And if you want, you could even start writing down progress and where you stand on some of the projects. The Middle States Accreditation Committee, you should have all been given an email about this.
Specifically Subcommittee 5.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Well, Marcus, you might be able to clarify a little more.
No, this is a different subcommittee entirely than the one I'm
Okay.
on, so that's the key difference. Subcommittee 4 versus 14 or something.
Well, the Middle States Accreditation Committee is evaluating the Institute for accreditation standards, and one of those standards is leadership and governance. This is standard 4. As part of their conversations, they want to hold a meeting with all of us as student leaders. So the Senate is invited to attend.
I didn't get this.
December 5th.
As far as I knew, this was sent out to everybody. Okay.
I didn't get it either.
Grads can't go. We have bun and cheese night.
All right. Well, I'll communicate that, and I'll communicate what Paul said to. Listen up, guys. I'm going to communicate all this to Jen Brock and see if she is inviting the whole Senate. Because if she is, I will forward that to all of you, and you can give input as to the timing. I'll also mention the graduate concern to see if anything can be done about that.
I think it was only sent to the cabinet leaders right now.
You got it?
Because I
Sure?
got it.
Okay.
I think it was only sent to cabinet.
Yeah, I think it was just.
All right. If she just wants cabinet, fair enough. But I'll double check. Joe.
So I also received the email. Right now, tentatively, the meeting is December 5th at 5 p.m. Subject to change, but most likely set in some room in the union somewhere.
Thank you.
3511.
Yeah. Justin, you had something.
That's okay.
Okay, almost forgot you there. Sorry about that. Finally, we have 2 remaining meetings this semester, and I will say, like this meeting, they're probably going to be a bit lengthy. We have several projects being proposed and a few motions, very interesting motions that are going to come before us. I'll do my best to provide some sort of like food or something to kind of keep people going, but thank you for sitting through this one. I know it was long, and I think we had a very productive set of discussions. That should be all. Do we have any unfinished or new business questions from our press? Marcus?
Is your mother a hamster or not?
I will gladly inform you that no, she is not.
On that point about the last 2 meetings, next week is Thanksgiving, but we really need quorum.
Yeah.
So,
There will not be cabinet next week. No, that's during Thanksgiving break.
but just make sure that you guys don't take off Monday night.
Yeah, we're voting on a couple of like actual projects that the committees have worked on all semester, so make sure you're there. Anybody else? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thanks, guys.